because your life actually depends on your personal development. And your personal development is about your mental health, your emotional health, and your physical health. It's about your levels of, and I include spirituality and emotional intelligence and emotional well-being. So your life depends on your personal development, but that is not where people have placed their focus. And because that's not where people have placed their focus, then it is going to be very difficult for unity to be possible. Let's talk about it. Unity, is it possible right now, or are we on a course collision? I mean, let's think about all of the division that has been created. All the ways that we've been divided. It's not just about race, although race has been a big one. It's also been politics. Look at how that has been really amplified here lately, from politics to the poked and the unpoked. How do we do that? I have the answer. I know exactly how. It's what I've been doing for the past 3 years, so I have the answers. I just don't believe that people are thinking this through. I mean, as things stand, unless we all get on the same page and get on real personal development path. And somebody said the other night while we were having this conversation that they believe that humans, for the most part, are just lazy. And personal development has just been too difficult. They just don't want to look at self. They just don't want to look at, the kinds of things that create the kind of harmony that it's going to take. So that's the conversation that I want to have, not just feel good. Oh, yes, let's just come together now. I don't believe that can happen right now. I believe that it is possible with some work. When it comes to personal development, folk can be lazy. Folk are lazy. Hell, not just can be shit. I mean, we wouldn't have half of the problems we have if people were on a personal development path. Personal development work is like a job you don't want. Well, until or unless you are actually having some success at it. When you start having success at it, then it becomes that thing that you cannot live without. They have to be mentally healthy to develop. You just have to have the desire. There are a lot of people who I work with that don't come to me mentally well. But once we work through and get to the foundation of who they are, then they develop quickly. Yep, you have to have the desire. It's imperative. How is the unity coming in when there's no desire for people to work on themselves? Here's my take on personal development. Personal development has not been given the same level of importance as any other development. In the US, they have focused more on your going to work and getting the high school diploma, and you get the high school diploma, then they have something for you to do. So it's about getting you to become the worker bees, pretty much. So the personal development they never really focused on, because if you got to trust yourself and develop as an individual, you could see through their game easier. So nobody was particularly having you focus on personal development because that was not to their benefit. And so many people focused on getting an education and getting the jobs and getting the houses and getting more and more and amassing more and more. That was the focus. And they would tell you that if you did those things, everything else would fall in line. You could then go and get the spouse and fill that position, then get the children, then have the house and the, 5-car garages and the bigger and bigger of stuff, just amassing more stuff without working on the personal development. But if you talk to anybody who has been married for any length of time, they will let you know quickly that that is the wrong order, because your life actually depends on your personal development. And your personal development is about your mental health, your emotional health, and your physical health. It's about your levels of, and I include spirituality and emotional intelligence and emotional well-being. So your life depends on your personal development, but that is not where people have placed their focus. And because that's not where people have placed their focus, then it is going to be very difficult for unity to be possible. Now, this goes much deeper, but that is where I laid the foundation for this conversation now, because this is where we're going in this conversation. If that's a conversation you want to have, stick around. If you want to talk about anything else, go start your own live. All right, let me see where we at. How do you go about discovering what you need to heal? Ooh, this is good, because this leads into the unity pieces. All right, so let's talk about the United States and its state right now, and the races being so divided, and the races now saying we should have been on the same page all along. Let's get on the same page and let's do this thing. And what I'm saying is, in terms of personal development, before that unity can happen, each individual has their own set of social conditioning that has kept us apart, that is going to need to be addressed within each individual before real unity is possible. Now, that is some self-loving work to get to the point that you look inside of yourself, you're able to look at your own life and recognize what parts of it is actually working against whatever that goal is or the objective you have. So if the objective is unity, then what things will I have to heal within me before that's even possible? Well, I think we got to go a little deeper than that before we can actually answer that question. Because when we look at the social conditioning, then here's what every parent or guardian certainly passes on to every child. Not necessarily self-love, not necessarily to be self-loving, but they do pass on their conditioning. And so to be able to look at the ways that you have been conditioned that are now going to sabotage the unity is a clear indication of what needs to be healed. Are you following me? Please, we are all Americans. Let's respect each other as fellow Americans. Well, I agree with that. But if the question then becomes, if you weren't able to do that up until this point, then what is that hang up? What is that thing that made that not possible? Because that's where your cleanup work has to happen. You can't we're all just Americans now. No, what the hell is that? We're all Americans. What about all the shit that led up to? Here's the thing, there's no trust there. How do you unite when there's no trust? Huh? There's no trust. Is unity necessary? Yes. But we just talked about how people are lazy, and personal development is not something that most people have given attention to. Well, if you are going to unite, this is the time. It's time to dig in there, get rid of the junk, and then unity will be possible. It ain't possible right now. And that's the work I've done for the past 30 years. So I'm actually very excited about this. I have repositioned my signature course, which is all about leading people back to themselves, their original selves, before the social conditioning, before the labels, before the mental health lies. Because yes, there are mental pressures, but the mental health lies that people have told, the industry has told people, and that people have bought, it's created so much more noise in people's heads and their own existence that people can't get out of their own way to really form true relationships, even with the people in their own families, let alone different cultures. So that's my work, returning people to their original state, who they were before all of the conditioning. We all come here, y'all, with our own wiring. We don't come here a blank canvas. I don't care what they've told you, they are lying. The origin of psychology, which is not part of the world of psychology today, specifically directs us in our own individuality. So I teach the full spectrum of temperaments so that you don't just see you recognize every single person you have ever known. And it is in that space, once you understand your own good, bad, even the ugly, and understand your own processes of thoughts and emotions and feelings, and then understand how that produces the behaviors. That is where your purity is. That's where our purity is. That is what helps us to be able to have a lens to be able to see each person now as human and to cut through the social conditioning and then choose what serves us from it, what sabotages us, get rid of that shit that sabotages, and truly be able to live from your core, live from as an individual, live from the stuff that you were created from. See, because nobody's born with a mental disorder. No. Nobody's born with a mental disorder. And you don't have to carry any of the diagnoses for life.